So if you're joining me now, you should be at the stage of it being pretty much colored. Now I've colored everything on here except for the very bottom, and I'll get to that in just a minute. But if you've noticed, this one is a lot darker than what this one is, and there's a different reason for that. This is your typical poster board paper you get at craft stores, or it has one side is the more paper side and the other side is a little shinier, more laminate type. And that's how you get this. You have to really add the stain to it to soak it through the shinier side to get it lighter. If you have just the typical paper stuff, you'll come up darker because the paper's more porous and it'll suck it in more. So that's what that is. And as far as the wood is concerned, I'm not sure why it went lighter. Maybe it's because I used a different brush rather than the foam brush thing. So hopefully it turned out the way you want it to turn out. I should probably put that in the closet later on. Alright, so now we're going to worry about the wrap now. And if you remember from last time, we did spray the one side. Mine was blue, so I had to spray it again. The other one I had was black. And what you want going right now is your hot glue gun. Make sure that's plugged in and going. And you also want to make sure you have just a little heat gun as well. So first thing we're going to do is we are going to make our seam on the bottom, just so it's out of view in case people are trying to get really close to your thing. But that's where we're going to start. And what we're going to do is kind of heat this pad up just a little bit. Do it on your other side. You don't want it on the paint side because high heat and paint makes paint bubble. So just go over the whole thing fairly fast just to warm up the fibers. And then just give a slight tug. And then the reason why we're doing this, at least for mine, I mean maybe you use the smaller can. Mine is just a slight inch shorter. So I do that to kind of give it its full flexness. See, now it's pretty close to it, and you can stretch that a little further to get that tight bond. So that's good. That's what we want. So anywhere really in the middle where you want. And if you're working on this cold can, you want to kind of work fast. Just because hot glue, cold can, the glue will dry fairly quick. Or cool down quick, it won't dry. It'll cool down really quick. And if you've got that, then it's a pain if you've ever worked with hot glue. So you just start on one and do a little bit at a time. Pull it tight as you're coming around. So you want to make sure to kind of hold this fairly well so that it gets the glue to dry. Cool. It's been a long day, so if you hear me say dry, really mean cool, you kind of hopefully get the idea. I'm not completely insane. And it looks like my glue is going to be running out shortly. Making it very difficult to work. seeing that pulling tight, you're pretty much there by pulling it. So that is really good. That's what we wanted. Now this is where it's going to get a little difficult, because you're putting hot glue right on that edge, and then you're going to be squeezing it. So there's a pretty good chance you can burn yourself. Do be careful. And this one, you'll have to play around a little bit just to get those two seams to line up and stay lit up until that hot glue cools enough to hold. Then you just want to wait for that to cool down enough, and then trim this off, and that part's done. Any other small details such as this, you can do your own imagination. Just whatever is, whatever looks right, whatever feels right. Experiment, mess around a little bit. This part helps make it your own as well. This was just for fun, and of course I was going to do something else with this for the next one. So the next reasoning here, while I'm waiting for that to cool down, is this back piece. And the reason why I left this bare is a number of reasons. One, I want to really figure out something for the strap. Something that's going to go over the shoulder, hold to this quite well, and not fall apart. This one, again, like I said, this is a metal bar with some furry fabric here, and then it had a couple magnets that were glued deep inside here, but it didn't hold too well, so I put tape on it, and then I tried to fix it, and that's the best it's come up with so far. And it's okay because no one really sees this part because it's on the back, but I wanted to figure out something else. So the only thing I've done is I've taken like a piece of metal that was scrap at a construction site from someone's houses that they used to anchor the frame to the foundation, and a lot of times they have a couple scrap pieces, and if not, you can always take a look in the dumpsters, ask someone when they're framing it if they have an extra piece, or go down to the hardware store, and they should have something similar that's easily bendable, it's still stiff, for a few bucks. Again, that part is going to be your own imagination, your own creation. Once that is secured, and then what I would do is I would take a second piece from here to here, this two ends of paper, the poster board, glue that over, and then refinish it. That way you don't have all these little cuts here, even from the bottom. That's what's going to be taken care of. So what I will do, when I get the last couple pieces and this, I'll run over on the last video wrap up everything, show you the final little details, and that. But if you stuck with me this long, thank you very much. I hope your build of Heavenly Swords Kai's crossbow comes out as good as you hope it comes out. And happy building, happy cosplaying, enjoy, thank you. Alright, well, morning. Hope your guys' bows are coming as good as mine is. So like I said, I was just going to come up with a couple things. You know, be creative. I just took some scrap of the balsa wood, put it in a little triangle, stained it up, put it in the middle. I used a couple of glue sticks, a marker cap. You know, look around what you have. Be creative. Another thing I mentioned is, of course, you got the little barrel on the front, and this cost me 27 cents, I think. Literally. The middle ones are a little bit bigger. These are 3 nickels, like it stands it out, and then on the sides is 2 pennies on top of each other, spray painted so it all blends in the same way I did the outer part, the hammer look with a little shot of silver added to it. So that's that. So now the other part is the back, and as you can see, it looks a little devastated, as it were. And that's what I did is I just cut the first thin layer all the way back, and then I took out all the foamy insulation stuff. I did that with a flathead screwdriver to remove that. And the reasoning for that is there. The reasoning for that is I decided to do something like this. And you're probably wondering, what the hell did you make a candy cane for? And honestly, that's what it almost kind of looks like, a little point. But what this is this is going to be my new strap. I didn't want to go get a piece of metal because it's not long enough usually. They only come up to be like here. And by the time you fold that over, there's not much for the shoulder. And then of course, even if you've put something on it, it still rubs up against your shoulder and makes it very sore, can cut you. And that's the problem I had when I did the crossplay. So instead, I took another sheet of the foam board and kind of measured my shoulder width, and it took a few times. Once I got the basic arch of my shoulder, then I had to keep cutting and keep removing and everything, and it's reinforced along the edges, in the middle, and another one down here with some old thin aluminum pipe that we had for a laundry basket. But you can use like your basic dowel, just get a thicker 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch dowel from the craft store, and just cut it to make this more supportive. That way it's not too susceptible to break and bend and all that kind of stuff. And then hopefully I'm in picture view, but it sits right there, just like that. And you can see I have tape right here, and that's because I did a dry run. I put it in and I taped it and then threw the bow on it and then kind of walked around a little bit. And what's as good is once this is full pretty much length and it comes mid breastplate level, sits here, and you can walk around and you can go into her character of off the wallness,
which I love. I love her. And it works just great. And then, you know, people, if they want your picture and that, you can easily just grab here, pull your bow over, and post ready of your pictures. So what it does is it sits right in there, nice and snug. And I'm going to be gluing this in. And yeah, pardon me, it's early in the morning. So, but that's the idea. And then once that part is done, then I can worry about the additional piece of the paper that I was talking about in the other video, and then restaining that to make it look good. Now, as far as this part's concerned, what I was going to do here is I actually needed to make sure that was fitted in, and just map really quick this edge. So it's not much, but the reason for that is I have some really cool faux fur fabric. Now this stuff was kind of expensive, but I use this for a couple of my other projects that I have in the works. So, but I was going to use this and glue it to this surface, so it's all the way wrapped around. That way it looks better. It's a lot softer on the shoulder, so it's not going to dig into it with the rough cut edges here. And so that's my plan. And again, this is going to be those videos where I'm going to kind of stop and then add in a few pictures and then come back to it being done completely. So that's what I'm probably going to do. And then as far as this color is concerned, I'm going to tan this up just a little bit to give it more of an aged look, a darker look. And for that, I will simply soak this in a tea bath before I apply it to here. And you just use regular tea and let it soak for 10 minutes a day, depending on how dark you want it, how aged you want it, and that's what it does. That tea gives it an aged look, and that's what I'm looking for, without compromising the softness of the fabric itself. So join me on the last video where everything is going to be put together, and hope it's working out great for you. If you plan on doing something like this where you cut into it, do be careful not to cut into that final layer. You can see I have a couple little holes here. It's not much, but just don't put your blade straight down. Just put it right at pretty much flat, just so you're cutting just that top layer. And if you're like me, when you first build and you cut into it, it makes your heart just race, because you're like cutting into your own work, and it'll drive you nuts. So word of caution on that one. But hope your stuff's coming up good.